When we encounter a real psychopath, certain questions usually come to mind. Why is this person like this? Are these dangerous actions part of who he really is, or did the society he lives in slowly bring him to this point? And perhaps the real question we should ask is this: can someone this dangerous always be noticed by the people around him? American Psycho, as both a novel and a film adaptation, has been a cult classic that has caused controversy since the day it was released. However, the magic of this work is not only in the violent scenes it contains. Its real importance lies in this social criticism hidden behind this violence, the madness of consumption, the anxiety of being seen and liked by others, the misunderstood concept of masculinity by men, how the race for status rots a person from within, and most importantly, the monotonous society where everyone dresses the same, speaks the same, and has the same ideas, are sometimes handled with a sarcastic tone and sometimes with a style approaching parody throughout the film. The subject of this video is the philosophy of American Psycho. The story begins in 1980s New York by introducing our main character, Patrick Bateman. Patrick is a wealthy, well-educated, physically attractive man with a high-paying job at one of Wall Street's most prestigious companies, and from the outside he appears extremely successful. Everything from the clothes he wears to the restaurants he goes to with his friends, from the perfume he uses to the barber he visits, is elite and carefully selected. From the outside, he has a flawless life. However, behind this bright life there is a dark truth. Patrick is also a psychopath and a sadistic killer. Throughout the film, he kills his co-workers, homeless people, newly met women, and anyone who crosses his path without showing any remorse. Moreover, he does not commit these acts of violence as a result of a major outburst of anger, or as a result of a serious psychological breakdown like in the film Taxi Driver. He does all of this as if it were part of a daily routine. The most striking part here is this. It is clear that Patrick has mental problems, but the people around him are too insensitive to notice his brutal actions. Because throughout the film, we understand that these people are no different from Patrick. Perhaps the most fundamental issue of the film begins exactly here: obsession with image. We understand from the very first minutes of the film how egotistical Patrick is, how he constantly tries to impress others.
I live in the American Gardens building on West 81st Street, on the 11th floor. My name is Patrick Bateman. I'm 27 years old.
At the beginning of the film, while introducing himself, Bateman first talks about what he owns and then says his name and age, because for him, the building he lives in comes before his own identity. The language he uses while describing his morning routine, the precision in the way he describes products, the brands he refers to while describing himself, all show how much value he gives to his image.
There is an idea of a Patrick Bateman, some kind of abstraction, but there is no real me, only an entity, something illusory.
His entire life consists of expensive restaurants, nightclubs, luxury items, and social gatherings within his circle. He does none of these to feel good. He does them to show other people what a beautiful life he has. And this process of display constantly continues throughout the film. If a coworker's suit looks more high quality, he becomes disturbed. If someone else's business card has a more aesthetic design, he enters an intense crisis of jealousy. Because the things they own are not merely objects, they are indicators of status and they must always be better than others. This kind of obsession with possessions is something Baudrillard explains through the concept of sign value. What makes an object valuable? According to Baudrillard, the real value of an object does not come from its function or production quality, but from the prestige it signifies in society. In other words, an object gains value not by what it does, but by which level of people in the social hierarchy use it, and what it signifies. To understand this better, let us think of a simple example. There are two different watches in front of us. Their designs, operating mechanisms, and even the materials used are almost exactly the same, but one belongs to a luxury brand that everyone knows, while the other is a product of an ordinary brand. The majority of consumers would prefer the brand with higher prestige value, even if the watch belonging to the ordinary brand were of higher quality, because what is purchased is not only the function of the watch, but the status and prestige it carries. In the society Patrick lives in, the value of an object works with the same logic. Looking at the most iconic scene of the film, the business card scene, explains this situation more clearly.
Look at that subtle off-white coloring. The tasteful thickness of it. Oh my God. It even has a watermark.
When coworkers show their business cards to each other one by one, the jealousy Patrick experiences almost reaches the level of an existential crisis. Yet what is at issue is only a business card, a communication tool, a piece of paper used simply to show someone's name and title. But for Patrick and those around him, the material the paper is made of, its font, and its overall aesthetic symbolize that person's social status. At this point, there's another important thing the film pushes into our eyes. Patrick and his friends have prestigious jobs, but these people are not very interested in the work itself. Instead of working, they focus on where they will go, what they will eat, which restaurant they will choose, and what others are wearing. In fact, from the outside they draw a very stylish and aesthetic image, just like the business cards they own, but in essence, they are people who do not have much function. From this situation, we can draw the following conclusion. The obsession with image that these people adopt has detached them from reality and turned them into dysfunctional individuals. And to better understand this detachment, there is another concept we need to mention: hyperreality. Let us imagine that we watch a very immersive TV series from beginning to end without interruption. As the episodes progress, we get used to the lives of the characters and begin to feel their problems as if they were our own. For hours, we remain inside the fictional universe that the series draws us into. When we finally finish the series and return to real life, we experience a brief emptiness and confusion. We even feel a sadness as if people we truly knew have left our lives. At that moment, the brain begins to question for a moment which universe is real. We have immersed ourselves so much in the vivid universe of the film that the real world has become blurred. Baudrillard defines this as hyperreality, a situation in which the world of symbols created or consumed by the human mind replaces the real world. And according to Baudrillard, when a person is exposed to this hyperreality for a long time, that person gradually becomes desensitized to the real world. To better understand this desensitization, let us think of Baudrillard's example of television. For example, you are watching news about a war on television. Then a detergent commercial appears on the screen. You watch both from the same device, at the same distance, with the same composure. According to Baudrillard, a viewer watches a war news report with the same indifference as a detergent commercial. When you turn off the screen, even if that war continues in real life, for the viewer, it ends the moment the television is turned off. This disconnection experienced by the viewer is hyperreality. A person tends to perceive the events on television as consisting only of images and as lifeless. The film American Psycho also conveys this desensitization mentioned by Baudrillard scene by scene. When we pay attention to the dialogues Patrick has with his friends, we notice this. Patrick and the people around him are also lifeless and consist only of images, just like in Baudrillard's television example. The words that come out of their mouths are not ideas that truly belong to them or that they have thought about. Each of their conversations is like a pre-written and rehearsed script, as if everyone has memorized their role in advance and is performing on stage.
What? Well, we have to end apartheid for one, and slow down the nuclear arms race, stop terrorism, and world hunger.
Here we can understand from Patrick's attitude toward people and the life he lives that he has memorized and recited these words. In some scenes in the film, Patrick yells at people he sees as lower in social status. However, when he encounters someone of his own status, he immediately returns to his prestigious image. Throughout the film, not even the smallest thank you is given to any service worker. The characters generally prefer threatening, belittling, and giving orders, instead of asking or showing politeness. Sometimes they ignore them, as if there were not a human being in front of them but an object. This insensitivity is seen not only toward people placed in the lower hierarchy of society, but also in their relationship among themselves. Throughout the film, we see that Patrick and the people around him constantly confuse each other's names. because they are indistinguishably the same as individuals. They all get their hair cut the same way, wear the same suits, and have the same speech patterns. We see the most striking example of this insensitivity in the scene where Patrick carries a corpse in a bloody bag. In this scene, Patrick has killed a friend and put the bloody corpse in a bag. Afterwards, while placing the corpse in the trunk, he runs into a friend. Although the blood dripping from the bag and the shape of the bag like a human body give a clear clue about what is inside, there's only one thing that attracts his co-worker's attention: the brand of the bag.
Where did you get that overnight bag?
Jean-Paul Gaultier.
Moreover, even the taxi driver not being curious about what Patrick puts in, the trunk shows that everyone in the universe of the film has become quite detached from seeing the truth. All they see are surfaces, labels, and brands. Questioning what lies underneath is not even on their agenda. However, there are parts in the film where we see desensitization at its peak. The scenes where Patrick occasionally confesses his murders.
You're my lawyer, so I think you should know I've killed a lot of people. Some escort girls in an apartment uptown. Some homeless people, maybe 5 or 10. Last week, I killed another girl with a chainsaw.
We see that Patrick is quite honest in these confessions because he is aware that there are problems with his mental health, and by confessing them he wants people to understand him and help him. But those around him either act as if they did not hear it or think it is a joke and do not care. No one even for a moment suspects, questions, or takes these confessions seriously.
My need to engage in homicidal behavior on a massive scale cannot be corrected, but I have no other way to fulfill my needs.
Isn't this film too utopian? Can we really call such a story realistic? Even if we find the events in the film exaggerated, this film is actually a strong cultural criticism. If we look at 1980s America, where the story takes place, we realize that this film is a document of that period. Under the administration of American President Ronald Reagan, the economic policies of the period put the country through a major transformation. Taxes were reduced, free market policies were strengthened, and ways of obtaining great wealth were opened for a segment of society. This atmosphere of prosperity also had an effect on lifestyle. It increased the tendency toward pleasure-giving activities, such as drug consumption and sexual indulgence. And in such an environment, an identity emerged for rapidly enriching, well-educated, and ambitious young business people: the yuppie. The concept of yuppie describes a young and urban business person, but within this definition there is also a philosophy of life. At the center of this worldview is display, luxury cars, expensive clothes, restaurants that we can call elite, and private clubs. These emerge not only as consumption preferences, but as the main elements in the formation of a culture. Returning to the film, we see Patrick was born into this culture and shaped his character under its influence. At the same time, the figures he admires are also symbols of what we call yuppie culture. For example, throughout the film, Patrick's admiration for Donald Trump, one of the popular businessmen of the period, is clearly visible. When he sees something about Trump, he immediately becomes intensely excited, and we understand that he internally wants to be someone like Trump. Because Trump is someone recognized in society, visible, and whose status is unquestioningly accepted. In fact, Patrick's fundamental problem is this: he constantly wants to be like someone else. The reason for this is to adapt to the environment he is in and to try not to fall behind others.
Because I want to fit in.
But the problem is exactly here. Even if Patrick can enter among the people he wants to adapt to or admires, he will not gain a real identity in a true sense, because the figures he envies are not individuals with authentic identities. They too consist only of an image in the way society wants to see them. No matter how prestigious and charismatic Patrick tries to appear in this world, he is actually lifeless and soulless. The truly strange part is that Patrick is aware that he does not have a real identity and that he consists only of image and illusion. In the final parts of the film, we can see that the story ends ambiguously. During a crisis moment, Patrick calls his lawyer and confesses that he has killed dozens of people. But his lawyer doesn't believe Patrick's seemingly realistic confessions, because a few days earlier he personally met Paul, one of the people Patrick confessed to killing. How can this be possible? In fact, throughout the story we see many scenes detached from reality like this. For example, no one noticing the obviously bloody corpse while Patrick is carrying the person he killed. Patrick fighting with the police almost like in an action film, and blowing up a police car with 2 to 3 bullets. No one in the hotel hearing him when he runs an electric chainsaw while chasing his victim in the corridor. Everything that happens seems unreal and absurd. In such a situation, only one question comes to mind. Are all these events a product of Patrick's imagination? The author of the novel consciously refuses to give a clear answer to these questions, because he states that his aim is not to open a discussion for the reader about are these events real or imagined, but to create a feeling of ambiguity and unease in the audience. The director of the film displays the same attitude as the author. He states that his aim in the lawyer scene is not to lead the audience to the conclusion that it was all imagined, but to create a feeling of ambiguity in the audience with an open-ended ending. In fact, what the story really wants to tell is not whether the crimes are real or not. What this story wants to show us is this. The people around Patrick are so focused on their own image that they cannot notice the psychopath right beside them. And in a world where everyone wears a mask and appearance comes before everything else, even if a person pours out what is inside,
His confession has meant nothing.